Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are discussing Game of Thrones and the fact that Benioff and Weiss don't have any inkling to return to any spin-off shows. But before we go any deeper, guys, just remember that at least one of my videos every week will not be coming to the YouTube channel. They will only be going to my BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble channels. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you have not started following me on at least one of those three alternative sites, the links to those are down in the description below. And with that out of the way, guys, let's get right into this article from Variety. That is Game of Thrones co-creator has no desire to return to spin-offs, quote, time to move on. And we'll get back to that by the end. HBO is going all in on Game of Thrones spin-offs with the upcoming Targaryen-centric prequel House of the Dragon first out of the gate later this year. Well, there was another one that they were going to go on. I believe it was called Blood Moon. Or it was like the working title of Blood Moon. You know that pilot that HBO spent like $30 million on that got completely scrapped? Yeah, that one. While the network sets out on expanding the world of Westeros, don't expect original series creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss to return to the franchise. Weiss recently told Entertainment Weekly he has no intention of returning to Game of Thrones in the future. Quote, all in, we were 11 years probably doing that show, Weiss said. When I say 11 years, it was full on, all in, all day, every day for 11 years. It was the best decade of our lives. It still kind of feels a bit of a dream, but we got to a place where it was pretty clear to us that we had reached the end of what made sense for us to be involved within that world that we lived. It just felt like for us, it was time to move on and get excited and terrified about building something else, building on to something else's, end quote. Are you sure that you didn't want to move on to your Star Wars deal at the time? So you rushed the final season, ended up pissing off a lot of people, and then you would end up losing the Star Wars deal as a result, because I believe it was Benioff or Weiss. It might have been both of them. Came out during a Comic-Con, I believe in San Antonio, Texas, and they basically admitted that they had no idea what the fuck they were doing. Like most of the time when they were working on Game of Thrones, they basically just had on the right clothes and the right haircuts and said the right words. And hey, congratulations, you're the showrunners. You're the showrunners for our Game of Thrones series. Quote, we never saw more Game of Thrones shows as something that made sense for us to be involved with, given where we were just as people at the time. We were done with the original, Weiss added. Some Game of Thrones fans might be relieved Weiss and Benioff are staying away from the franchise, as the duo were at the center of fan outrage due to Thrones' polarizing last season. Yes, like I said, they pretty much rushed it to get that to get that Star Wars deal that they would later lose as a result of the polarization of season 8. Benioff and Weiss have since moved on to Netflix after striking a reported 9-figure first look deal with the streaming giant. Their first Netflix project was the Sandra Oh starring comedy The Chair, which the duo produced. Next up is the high school comedy Metal Lords, which Weiss scripted. That series debuts April 8th, 2022. Benioff and Weiss are also in production on the epic science fiction series The Three Body Problem for Netflix. As for Thrones, HBO has several spin-offs in addition to House of the Dragon in various stages of development. Person of interest writer Amanda Segal is attached to 10,000 Ships, which centers on Princess Nymeria and of House Martell. I'm sorry, guys, I'm probably gonna mispronounce these names. I gave up on Game of Thrones halfway through season 2 because I found it to be the most boring show ever. Rome and the Mentalist creator Bruno Heller is reportedly behind 9 Voyages, which is set to star Steve Toussaint as his House of the Dragon character. Was it Corlys? Is it like Corlys I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name. Corlys Velaryon. Like I said, guys, I gave up on Game of Thrones like halfway through season 2. An adaptation of George R. R. Martin's novellas Tales of Dunk and Egg is also in development. But I said I was going to come back to this point of time to move on. And I just, I don't want to sound like pompous and arrogant, but I think it really is time for people to move on from Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was a thing. I believe it came out when 2011. It was like 2011 to 2020. Season 8 came out and shit the bed, sure. But, are these spin-off shows even going to be successful? Is there really Is there really a thirst for more Game of Thrones, especially after how badly season 8 was handled? You know, it's sometimes, some things, Game of Thrones had its fun in the sun. Star Wars had the same thing. The law of diminished returns is going to kick in. So, why isn't HBO trying to find their next Game of Thrones, their next platform seller, if you will? And some people are saying, well, that's currently Euphoria. I personally haven't watched Euphoria, but Euphoria has not hit the same heights that Game of Thrones really hit. You also have Peacemaker that did really well on HBO Max, but that was only on HBO Max. At some point, they're gonna run Game of Thrones into the ground, and they're gonna have no choice but to try to find something else, and that something else may have already come and gone. But guys, let me know what you think about more Game of Thrones. Are you fed up with it? Are you excited for House of the Dragon? I think personally, I agree with the sentiment of I think it's just time to move on. Let sleeping dogs lie. Leave Game of Thrones alone for a while, and then come back to it after the dust is settled, because I guarantee you the backlash from season 8 is definitely going to affect House of the Dragon. I can't predict like how significant of an impact it's going to have, but it is going to have an impact to a degree. And guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here, because I know I probably rambled for way too long. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, I'm terrible at ending these videos, so I'll just see you guys on next time.